A far-right website decided to do a story and post a video and that sort of thing, making an extremely over-the-top claim. And later on, they deleted it. But the story lived on, and people couldn't figure out where it came from because nobody archives anything. But someone else backed it up. And the claim was that they had an unaudited analysis of data that had been obtained from Edison research. Now, what does that mean? An unaudited analysis of data that you get from someone means that no one double checked whether or not the data is correct, or the analysis is correct, or both. In this case, it should be that the analysis they've done hasn't been double checked, which means they're saying in their own statement that they don't know if it's true and they haven't had anybody check it yet. And they said they obtained data from Edison Research. Edison Research's president, Larry Rosin, said that they created no such data or report and had no idea what one American news network was talking about, so they deleted their story. But the story is being repeated by Fox because it needs to be, I guess. Anyway, their assertion, which never had a backup, again, one American news network made a claim that they had gotten something from a source, and the source says, no, you didn't. We didn't give you anything like that. We don't know what the hell you're talking about. But what is it they said that was important enough for me to make a video about? Dominion voting system switched 435,000 votes from Trump to Biden. Depending on the database, that would be easy or difficult. And 2.7 million Trump votes were deleted by Dominion. Now, this is supposed to be an unaudited analysis, meaning no one double-checked whether or not they're full of shit. And they're a right-wing organization that has been found to post stories that have been found to be not true before. And they said they got the data from Edison Research, but Edison Research said, no, you didn't. So here's the stacking up. This is a group of people that have posted stories that are not true in the past, that have never been true. These are people who have made up stories that have no basis and have also deleted those stories in the past. But individual, it doesn't matter. It's like a YouTube channel or a website. It doesn't matter. It's a source. And they're saying that they came to a conclusion that 2.7 million Trump votes were deleted by the Dominion voting system based on an analysis of data from a source they claimed they got it from that says, no, you didn't. And the analysis they did wasn't double checked. That's what unaudited means. And then when the company pointed out that, no, you didn't get that from us, and we don't know what you're talking about, and we didn't make a report or a data file available, and we didn't do that analysis, but that came up to that. And if we had that happen, we would tell people, hey, yeah, it flipped it. Because if it toggled it from Trump to Biden, you could look up the incident, try to figure out what caused it, and just put it back. That's what you would do immediately, because otherwise your company would be in deep shit. And deleting a bunch of votes is actually done on systems, I suppose. Okay. Now, the assertion someone made is also that it's easy enough to break into these. I'm one of many people in the past that actually confirmed that you could hack into a voting machine. They had not Dominion, it was a different company that I went after, but they put out a system and said attack it remotely, and also we have a physical attack room that you can do. I went to a mall and broke into one of them. One of us got it to play Pong. The only rule is if we did the hack, we had to tell them how we did it so they could keep it from happening anymore. That's how you find out whether or not your system can be broken into. You encourage people to break into them, find out how, and fix it. They pay you money when you're able to do it. I got $20 because I got the thing to just reboot. I mean, that's not a big deal. I just threw a bunch of reboot code at it until it fucking did it. I told them how I did it, and yeah, I did it through a thumb drive. I used a command prompt. They said how, and I said I loaded DOS on it. They didn't. It was one of many routines to reboot the computer. It worked. I forgot the name of the company. It's just one of many companies that was doing intrusion testing. The Dominion system may still have some security errors. I don't know. But you have to show me or tell me how and point to the source of it, because you're not the one who broke in. The person you're quoting is. And no one is pointing out that one American news network is the one claiming the 2.7 million Trump votes that are missing. That's because the source is literally that source. And the source retracted their story by deleting it. That's the best you can get out of them. Now let's look at someone else. Let's not waste too much time on this. But yeah, the story was debunked because the source erased their story, and the source they quoted said, "You're lying about your source because we say we didn't give you any of that and we didn't find any of that data." And why is this? Here's the big clue if you're not aware of it. If a conservative biased website says a bunch of votes disappeared, but they assume it had to be Trump, why? Why is that? Well, you can program to do that. Yeah, I know you can program a computer to do all sorts of things. But they'd have to explain why it only deleted, quote unquote, Trump votes, and why it only bit flipped Trump to Biden votes. You see, if you do the database a certain way, you can do one with a pad format. Let me explain this. Let's say I set up 4 votes. Here are the 4 votes. And let's say it's Trump is winning and it's 4-1. Let's do this easy. And I do this. That means I have a double copy of it in 2 bytes. Actually, a single byte. This is 2 nibbles. Don't ask. Just take my word for it. Now, let's say I wanted to make it really hard to delete this. So it would go and get rid of a Biden vote by flipping a bit. Because you're flipping a bit, not erasing it. The bit doesn't go away. It has to be 1 or 0, unless you want to do it in the third state of null, which doesn't work. Please don't bring it up. Over here is a duplicate, so I'd have to flip both of them. That's a simple redundancy method. But here's a better one. We're going to use the pad method. We're going to make it to where this starts off with, let's see if I can do this. This is the alternating pattern. Now let's say they're all Trump votes. If they're all Trump votes, they should match the pattern over here, right? But they're all Trump votes, yes. This is the pattern. If the pattern matches, we'll default it to be all Trump votes. That's a Biden vote. Because this requires you have access to both databases and know that they're related to each other, you can't edit them. It's a simple method for doing this. I'm not kidding, it's one of the methods for doing a database. It makes it really hard to do that because it is literally not just one or the other. It could also be an independent. There's an example of this happening in a system because of something that is called a glitch. The system recorded a 1-bit change through a data stream and dumped it, and it made the information invalid. It didn't just flip a bit from 1 to 0. It compared it to a database with what looks like a random sequence of numbers that says default to being a value. And then when it flipped a bit, it didn't match the system. It created an error, and they knew there was a file that was broken. What happens on voting systems is they use an internal audit system, oddly enough they use the word audit, where it creates a backup copy of what's happening second by second and dumps it into a file that cannot be retrieved or edited. If there's any question about the system, they can check it. You could call it write-only memory. Anyway, it spools it into a file. And then when you're getting the information out, it runs it past it and says, this is the copy of the file that can never be retrieved except to read only. And here's what we have in the system. If it checks bit for bit exactly the same, it's valid. If you're running a stream of votes through machines, each machine is operated by one person at a time, that's good. That would work. It could also, because it can be time-based, record everything that could be looking like a glitch, or anytime a person hit a key that was funny, or an attempt to open the case. Now, the reason I know about some of this is, in case you haven't noticed, I won a piddly-ass sum at one place to break into a fucking voting machine once. I might know a little more about this. But anyway, let's get on to a story done by the Review Journal, Las Vegas. A Victor Jokes, that's his name apparently, put this headline up. Clark County election officials accepted my signature. Now, remember what that wording means in common terminology on 8 ballot envelopes. What did he really do? Because obviously that didn't happen, or I wouldn't be pointing this out. I asked if ballots signed by someone else came through, we would still have the signature match to rely on for identity. And then he asked the person, could we do that? But this is how he tested the system to prove it doesn't work. Let's see if you can detect it on the first read through. I wrote their names in cursive using my handwriting. Remember, he said my signature. Now it's their name in his handwriting. That's not the same as his signature. And then he said, then they copied my version of their name onto their ballot envelope. So 8 ballots went out with his signature, but the ones that they signed in their handwriting of their own name are somehow his signature in the common terminology. Victor Jokes posted a fake news story hoping no one would read through the rest of it and call bullshit. He did that yesterday. There is a war on our right to vote. And it's being waged by someone who lost a fucking election and a bunch of his suck-ups. And this has been going on for a while. Getting angry at people voting you out of office. Unless you remove every incumbent and every career politician by voting them out, they're going to keep trying to make it to where you can't. There is a group of people who are elected officials, no, it's not Democrats, who desperately want you to stop being able to vote and are willing to just literally shit can the entire purpose of voting. It's just naked that way. And they're using Trump as a piggyback source because they, we're fighting for Trump. No, you just want to keep people from voting. They're calling to make sure that you can't vote, reducing the number of voting boxes available. At the same time, while they were launching some lawsuits to try to increase the number of voting ballot boxes because they noticed that their own people were affected by them trying to make it harder to vote. If you need to keep people from voting to stay in power, we all need to vote more often and force the subject. Laws need to be changed in every state to make it to where politicians are not permitted to determine how we vote. It has to be done by us. We need to get off our dead butts and pass laws that says that not the legislature anymore, but we, the people, determine how the vote's done. Well, that's not something you can do. I'm in the state of Oregon, and the state of Oregon does have an overruling policy. We are allowed to overrule our own legislature if we vote in mass, and there's not a fucking thing they can do about it. Can you do that in your state? Then maybe you're in an unfree state and you should get your shit together. I'm going to read someone's comment here about the Dominion thing and some other things. It's been proven that Dominion voting machines have been switching votes from Trump to Biden in one county alone, Michigan, etc. 47 counties in Michigan use the exact same machines. Therefore, they all had to have the same glitch. I'm assuming he's going there, but I don't know. Trump won a lawsuit today for an audit of the Michigan vote. It's just the beginning. I think he won a lawsuit in Pennsylvania. No. They won the right to restrict access to a set of votes until they, settled an argument on some technical detail, but the votes aren't being excluded, and he didn't win an election, and yes, Fox will keep saying he won. They had the same glitch. Magically awards Biden all of Trump's votes. All of Trump's votes. Michigan flips back red. A programmer says he can write and install a program on one of these machines, and it would only take 7 minutes to install a program that would steal votes. I'm one of many programmers that will tell you that that's probably one of the slowest programmers you'll ever run into. Loading a program on a computer to hack it takes less than 2 seconds. Why the fuck would he even give a timetable like that? Voter fraud is possible. That doesn't mean it happened. It's going to be proven. You want it to be proven. You want the system to be broken so you don't have to deal with the reality. What we're seeing today is just the tip of the iceberg. He has the election in the bag. He lost. He's not president anymore. And I'm tired of you posting all these memes and not acknowledging when I've debunked them. You must acknowledge this one was debunked. Good day.